Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. Again, my name is Andrea Banu, and I want to do a follow-up video about the video I did a couple days ago. Everyone's talking about this meeting between Zelenskyy and Trump, and like I stated, I did a video as soon as it happened, and I wasn't able to really follow up on everything that has happened thus far. As we know, Zelenskyy was kicked out of the White House, and now Trump is saying that he has to make an apology publicly before they can come to any sort of reconciliation and move forward with this peace deal. And so today, I just really want to go ahead and recap exactly what Zelenskyy has stated now that or after that event, as well as what is really in this minerals deal, and then what is other countries saying with regards to what's happening right now, and if we think there can be any sort of resolution to this conflict that has happened, not only with Russia and Ukraine, but now Ukraine and President Trump. So go ahead and grab yourself a cup of coffee. I already have mine, and let's go ahead and start the show. Hello, hello, and welcome again to the Community Ledger. If you have not already, please do go ahead and press that button to subscribe so that we can get all the love and support we need and appreciate and value all of it. And so now going into the subject today, as we know, there was quite a contentious conversation between Zelenskyy and Trump the other day in the Oval Office. And then Zelenskyy ended up being kicked out of the White House. I guess conversations were over with. Trump had enough and was like, you know what, you can go ahead and go. If we're not going to go ahead and sign this mineral deal like everyone was under the impression Zelenskyy would do, there's no need for you to be here. So now I want to play the conversation that Zelenskyy had with Bret Baier shortly after that meeting. And then we're going to go into exactly what is in this mineral deal and, just analyze everything that could happen now that these two men are at odds. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Welcome back to Special Report. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Mr. President, thank you for the time today, especially on this day, to continue to do this interview. President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespected him and the Vice President and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did? And do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale invasion. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners. And even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest and we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's very, for us, very necessary to President Trump. And I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war, we are in this battle, and battle for freedom for our lives. So I'm just telling that I think that we have to be on the same side, and I hope that the president on our side together with us, and that is very important to stop Putin. And I heard from President Trump a lot of times that he will stop the war, and I hope he will, and we need to pressure him with Europe, with all the partners. And I think this dialogue had to be a little bit earlier to understand where we are. Like, I don't remember exactly, but like President Reagan said, that peace is not just an absent the war. Yes, we're speaking about just and lasting peace, about freedom, about justice, about human rights. And that's why I said that I think so, that ceasefire, and you know, Putin, he broken 25 times ceasefire during all these years, 10
Right.
years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
Now, I respect President and I respect American people. And if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things that where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians. And I think that is the most important thing. Yes, we are partners. You know, we are very close partners. We have to be fair. We have to be very free.
I'm told that you were told multiple times from lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the White House to make today about the minerals deal and the economic deal, and then get it signed and let negotiations play out over security guarantees step by step. Is that true?
I said that we have to sign this document, and we are ready for this. And this will be the first step to security guarantees, but it's not enough. I think so. Maybe I don't know something. I don't know some details. That's why I wanted to share it with the president, my thoughts, and to hear him again, because he has a plan how to stop Putin. And maybe, as I said, maybe it's out of big conversations, but we have to share it. You know, this is so sensitive. You know, just a ceasefire without security guarantees. This is so sensitive for our people. I'm speaking like a president of a people.
And so I just wanted to pause it there just for a quick second, because I want you to be able to understand that Zelenskyy came to America under the guise, or under the expectation, we'll say, that he was going to go ahead and sign this minerals deal with President Trump and this administration so that they can move forward, and then Trump could continue negotiations with Putin so that they can go ahead and get a ceasefire and end the war. However, Zelenskyy decided he's not ready to sign that minerals deal because there have not been specific contingencies put into place, which he says security measures by America to ensure that if Putin reneges on this ceasefire, that there will be ramifications and that America is going to support whatever happens after that. And so I guess there's a little bit of a gray area with regards to America's side on what we would do and what our involvement would be if, you know, Putin does not agree to this ceasefire, or if he agrees, signs on the dotted line, and then attacks Ukraine at a different date. And so I completely understand what Zelenskyy is wanting. You know, he's wanting some sort of security. But I'm going to go ahead and continue so that we can kind of delve a little deeper into all of this.
Who are in this struggle 3 years, and they just want to hear that America on our side, and that America will stay with us, not with Russians, with us. That's it. But I'm sure that it will be. This is the first step to security guarantees. Europeans, we don't need to lose them. They are good allies for the United States. The United States is the most, or the biggest donator of support and of peace. But we don't need to lose Europe, and they also want to know next steps. We have to be very open to understand how to stop the war.
Right. But do you think the public spat in the Oval Office in front of the media served Ukrainians well today?
I think this kind of spat is I mean, this we have. I mean, this is not good for both sides anyway. And I very open, but I can't, you know, change our Ukrainian attitude to Russian. And I don't want, they are killers for us. You know, this is very, very clear that Americans are the best of our friends, Europeans are the best of our friends, and Putin with Russian, they're enemies. And it doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We just want to recognize the reality, the real situation.
President Trump is convinced that you will never sign a deal with Vladimir Putin. Is he right?
No, I think so. What I think, Ukraine wants peace, and we will have anyway diplomacy. We will have negotiations. I only said that I think so. It's about just and lasting peace. It meant that we have to be very strong at the table of negotiations. And at these negotiations, Ukraine and Russia, like sides of this war, have to be, and the United States and Europe. That's what I said. So we are ready for peace, but we have to be in strong position. What does it mean? Just to know that our army is strong, that our partners with us, and that we have security guarantees. Am I not right?
Leaving the White House today, President Trump said this.
He's looking to go on and fight. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
What do you make of that? Do you want to continue fighting? Do you want peace? And if he had the opportunity to go back to the White House right now, would you do it?
No. First of all, we want peace. That's why I'm in the United States. That's why I visited President Trump. And thanks for invitation again. The deal on minerals is the first step to security guarantees. It's meant for the peace, closer to peace. That's why I'm here. And we have tough situation. To understand it is to be in Ukraine. You saw it, Brad. You was once. Thank you again. So I think that's very important to understand what's going on. But I respect my soldiers and our people, our civilians who work and support our warriors. I can't say just stop. Nobody will stop because everybody afraid that Putin will come back tomorrow. We want just and lasting peace. It's true. We want security guarantees. We raise this topic about NATO the quickest way, but not all the countries are on this side. I said, okay, if not NATO, nobody is pushing. If not NATO, let's build NATO in Ukraine. That's my position. Europeans are ready to have contingents on our territory, boots on the ground. United States thinks maybe to help, maybe USA backstop, have to be just to guarantee that they are with Europeans. Look at Europe, it's strong. It became stronger, but they also want to have allies like the United States. That's what I said. I just want to understand what the peace. It's not my question, Brad. This is the question from all our people.
You mentioned when I traveled to the front lines with you last year to see the situation, to mark the anniversary of the war. And this is what you told me back then.
Will Ukrainians survive without Congress support? Of course, but not all of us. It will be tragedy for all of us, not only for Ukraine, not only for Ukrainians, for all Europe. Yeah.
So the question today is, can Ukraine win this war or hold off Russia without continued U.S. support?
It will be difficult for us. That's why I'm here. That's why we speak about the future negotiations. It will be difficult without your support, but we can't lose our values, our people. We can't lose our freedom. So a lot of people, Russians came to our territory, you know it. Russians came to our houses, and everybody saw it, video, images, a lot of things. They killed so many people. Just to forget it, just to say that Putin is a great guy? No, without us. We don't want it. That's why we speak about, everybody remembered how it was the first days of the war, how they came. Nobody wants in Ukraine. Yes, of course, nobody will forget it, but nobody wants to have, again, new wave of occupation. That's why when we say no NATO, what security guarantees can we have? I'm not pushing. We are not pressuring. We're just asking. We're just sharing very clear messages to our friends, to Americans.
Right.
If you stay with us, thank you so much. But let's do the infrastructure of security guarantees. Let's just share with our people, that America stay with us. That's
and I'm gonna stop it right there. So as you see, it is a very precarious situation that Ukraine is in. But it also puts America in a very precarious situation as well. Ukraine is in this scenario where they cannot win this war. They will not be able to keep Russian soldiers out and continue to keep fighting without American support. So even though, multiple countries in Europe are assisting, America is giving the most in regards to money, weaponry. We've actually got soldiers who are on the ground. They're not acting in war or being utilized in defense, but they are educating Ukrainian soldiers on how to use their weapons, things of that nature. However, what it sounds like Zelenskyy is wanting, shall I say, is a guarantee that, like he always says, just and lasting security. So he wants to have some sort of insurance that once this peace treaty and this ceasefire is established, that I will say this, once that's established, that if Putin does not honor it and decides to come back to Ukraine and push further and bomb them again, that Europe and America specifically will be there in defense of Ukraine. I understand that from a Ukrainian standpoint. However, America, specifically Trump, is not going to do that. And that's when, you heard Trump in the Oval Office saying, you're talking about World War III here. You're talking about America sending soldiers in and defending Ukraine and starting a war with Russia. We are not going to do that. And Putin was very vocal about America staying out of it. Okay. Putin was like, listen, this is not your battle. You can help Ukraine via weapons and things of that nature. But as soon as you send soldiers over here and y'all start sending missiles, et cetera, it's going to be a problem. And I don't know if you recall, but right before Biden left office, they started sending missiles a lot closer to Russian territory. And people were like, what the hell is Biden doing? Because that is very dangerous territory. And so Trump is in a situation where he's like, listen, I get you're in a bad spot. I get that part of your country has been taken over by Russians, but you're going to have to take an L on this because you cannot afford to go at this alone. And America cannot afford to continue this. This is not our war. We're not going to start a war with Russia. We got our own battles here at home. We got a whole bunch of money we need to start saving. Our Americans are suffering in their own way, and we cannot continue to do this. We're not going to continue to pay you. We're not going to continue to finance your defense ultimately. And we cannot give you contingencies in that way. And so Zelensky's like, well, listen, y'all want to come in here and get minerals and things of that nature so that y'all can make some of this money back and we can rebuild our country and infrastructure, et cetera, but you need to give us more. And Trump is like, no. And he's like, if you don't agree to this mineral deal and you don't agree to the ceasefire, then we just going to remove ourselves and you can deal with it on your own. And so that is a very compromised position for Ukraine to be in, because without American support, like he said, it's going to be very difficult. I also want to go ahead and let me pull this up. This is another. I want to go over breaking down this whole minerals. Let me pull it up. This whole minerals agreement that Trump and America has been talking about, so that you guys understand what exactly that entails. So breaking down the Ukraine mineral deal. And so let's go into that a little bit. US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy have reached a bilateral agreement for the United States to jointly invest in Ukraine's critical minerals and other valuable resources. While the framework leaves many details to be worked out, this is the first agreement of its kind, as additional countries such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo seek a similar deal. Understanding the terms of the Ukraine deal and its likely efficiency has important implications for U.S. mineral security. What are the terms of the Ukraine mineral U.S.-Ukraine minerals deal. The bilateral agreement is markedly different from the original minerals deal proposed by the Trump administration. The initial deal called for Ukraine to use its mineral resources to repay the United States the $500 billion for military aid previously provided. The agreed upon framework does not designate the rights of $500 billion worth of mineral revenues to the United States, nor does it include a security guarantee for Ukraine. Rather, the agreement establishes a reconstruction investment fund with joint U.S. and Ukraine ownership. So originally, it was just going to be to repay America for the $500 billion that we sent for military aid. But now this new deal is not really saying there's going to be a cap on it in terms of the $500 billion. But it's not offering any sort of future security for Ukraine either. So it's just going to be both parties making money off of these minerals. So America will make money off of those mineral resources so that we can start kind of recouping some of the money that we sent out there, but at the same time can help Ukraine with its infrastructure so that they can start to rebuild. Ukraine will contribute 50% of all revenues earned from the future monetization of all Ukrainian government-owned natural resource assets into the fund. This includes mineral deposits, oil, natural gas, and other relevant infrastructure. But notably, it does not include resources that are already serving as a revenue source to Ukraine, such as the operations of, I can't even pronounce that, Ukraine's largest oil and gas producers. This means the profitability of the fund is entirely dependent on the success of new investments in Ukraine resources. So, so pretty much this is what Trump wanted Zelenskyy to sign. However, Zelenskyy is like, you're going to have to give us more before we sign this. And, you know, that's why Trump is like, listen, you are not in a position to really be giving ultimatums because at this point, we're the ones that are going to call the shots. Either you agree or you don't, but you're going to be the one left in a bad place. So, you know, you can want that, but ultimately you have to agree to our terms or move on. Which is, you know, I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow because he's at war. So I completely understand his position in terms of wanting this war to end and wanting to secure some level of stability for his country. But at the same time, you know, America can't continue to fund this war. So it is a very compromising position for realistically Ukraine more than anybody. And I also wanted to read what Pete Hegseth said in regards to NATO and everything happening with this. Hegseth rules out NATO membership for Ukraine and says Europe must be responsible for country security. So they're like, listen, y'all gonna have to start stepping up. America doesn't need to keep, you know, doling out all this money to save the world. Like Ukraine is right next door to y'all. Y'all gonna have to start putting up more money if y'all want Ukraine to be able to survive this. So this is what Hegseth is saying. So U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said on Wednesday that the war between Ukraine and Russia must end, that Kyiv joining NATO is unrealistic, and that the U.S. will no longer prioritize European and Ukrainian security as the Trump administration shifts its attention to securing the U.S.'s own borders and deterring war with China. We got our own issues, okay? We're trying to secure our own border and keep anything going south with China as well as Russia, okay? So we have our own issues that we need to take care of. We got to take care of home. And as you know, that was Trump's stance. Make America great again. America first. That is his policy. In remarks before a meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contract Group, Hegseth said that the European troops should be the primary force securing a post-war Ukraine, something U.S. troops will not be involved in. Okay. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement, Hegseth said. And he added that any security guarantees offered to Ukraine must be backed by capital European and non-European troops. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine. Hegseth also said that a return to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders before Russia invaded Crimea and eastern Ukraine is an unrealistic objective. Many NATO allies would actually agree with Hegseth that getting Crimea back from Russia is not realistic. And not even Ukraine President Zelensky has insisted on that as a precursor to peace talks. One NATO official said it would have been more concerning if Hegseth had said that returning to Ukraine's pre-2022 borders was unrealistic. But the comments about security guarantees are sure to concern Zelensky, who said this week that Europe alone cannot provide meaningful security guarantees to Ukraine without American leadership. So again, you've got Zelensky, who is adamant about wanting American support, not only American finances, but American military. And, post this agreement. So even once him and Putin come to some sort of agreement, Zelensky wants America to say, okay, if this agreement is not sustained, that we're going to be there in support of you. And then we're going to send our troops out to make sure that your borders and things of that nature are safe. And Trump and Hegseth are saying that is not happening. We're not sending nobody to Ukraine, and we are pulling out financially and physically. We're not going to participate in any way in protecting you. This is what we're giving. This is what we're bringing to the table: the ability to actually have a conversation with Putin and get some sort of agreement on the table and end this war. And you are going to have to acquiesce if you want more lives to be saved. You are going to just go ahead and have to take an L on Crimea. You're going to have to take an L on whatever territory that Russia has occupied, and what's left is what you're going to have to be satisfied with. And if you don't agree with that, then you're just going to have to go at it alone with only European support. And Zelensky is terrified of that scenario because he states that he does not think that Ukraine will be able to endure the withdrawal of any sort of American support. But at the same time, he really doesn't have a leg to stand on, because he's not a superpower. He really can't really negotiate much of anything. So it's kind of like take it or leave it kind of proposal that Trump is putting on the table. And it's a bad look. It's a very compromised position, and I don't feel for the man. I really don't, because it's not a good look. But at the same time, I completely understand Trump's position, because we got to stop meddling in everybody else's stuff, one, and two, we got to start worrying about Americans. Okay, we got our own issues over here that we need to start putting our resources toward, our money toward, our military toward. We got all of this craziness going on the border. We got to get all these criminal migrants out of this country. We got to stabilize the economy. We got to, make sure that Putin ain't pissed off. We got to make sure that China ain't pissed off. We got a lot we dealing with. And, we can't just keep funding these wars that lead nowhere. And we're not going to involve ourselves and send our citizens over there, send our troops over there to survive a war, get killed in a war that has nothing to do with us. So, like I said, it's a very precarious situation for Zelensky to be in. And I understand his passion. I understand his frustration. I completely understand the compromised position that he's in. But at the same time, you have to understand that, listen, we can't just foot the bill. We can't just, we can't do this anymore. And so I'm praying that they can come to some sort of agreement, because they're, and I always say I hate war. It's the worst thing ever, because there's always, these leaders and these power players that aren't negatively affected. It's the people on the ground. It's the citizens. It's the mothers. It's the children, the men who end up being harmed due to these battles. And it is the worst thing ever. And so in order for, more lives to not be lost, Zelensky is going to have to acquiesce. He's going to have to come to the table and agree to pretty much whatever Trump is proposing, because he really doesn't have an opportunity to. He can't really do anything else. He honestly can't, outside of going at it alone, which realistically is just not a viable option. And so, here we are as of March 2nd. Trump administration expects public apology from Zelensky to mend relations with Kyiv. So now, watching that interview that he did with Bret Baier, he said he's not going to apologize. He's not going to go back to the White House. He doesn't feel like he needs to apologize. And Trump is saying, either you apologize or you out on your own. And you know, it's crazy. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this as well. The Trump administration has privately made it clear that it expects a public apology from Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky for the verbal dressing down he was given in the Oval Office in front of the White House press corps on Friday, Bloomberg reported on Sunday. In an interview with Fox News after the confrontation on Friday, Zelensky declined to apologize to U.S. President Donald Trump, saying that while he respected Trump and the American people, he felt that the position of Ukraine had to be made clear. I'm not sure we did something bad, he said, before expressing confidence that relations with the Trump administration could still be salvaged. The tense exchange took place during a photo call at the White House on Friday afternoon when Zelensky asked U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance what kind of diplomacy he thought was possible with Vladimir Putin, given that he had broken multiple ceasefire agreements reached since Russia illegally annexed Crimea and occupied parts of eastern Ukraine in 2014. Vance responded by accusing Zelensky of being disrespectful and not thanking the U.S. for its support, after which Trump raised his voice at the Ukrainian president, claiming he had no cards in peace negotiation and was gambling with the lives of millions of people and potentially risking the start of World War III. Zelensky was then asked to leave the White House. Zelensky subsequently took to X to thank the United States, the U.S. president, Congress, and the American people, possibly in response to Vance accusing Zelensky of not being thankful enough during their explosive exchange at the White House. Zelensky continued to personally thank at least 40 officials and world leaders who came out in support of Ukraine over the next 2 days, including European Commission Vice President Kaja Kallas, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister, blah, 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 blah. So he thanked a whole lot of people for, standing with Ukraine. But at the end of the day, it don't even matter, because he already stated that he can't win this, and he's going to be in a very bad spot if America, which is Trump, does not acquiesce to us continuing to support him. So all of these other leaders in Canada and all over the UK don't even matter. They're not even relevant. Great, you support Ukraine, so there's no need for America to continue. So, like I said, it's a very bad position for Ukraine to be in. But at the same time, as Trump is the president of the United States, he has to act in the best interest of the American people. We cannot get in a situation where we are pushing the boundaries in regards to our involvement, and poking the bear with regards to Putin. We cannot afford to have a war on our soil. We cannot afford to, have American lives lost by sending troops. That is not what Trump wants for his legacy or for this presidential term. And he has been very adamant about being against war, wanting to end the war. He spoke about wanting to end the war between Israel and Gaza, and he spoke about wanting to end this war between Ukraine and Russia. And he is doing whatever's necessary to make that a reality. And these kind of negotiations are never easy. They're never easy. However, I think for Zelensky, the best case scenario would be for him to, sit at that table and figure out how we can end this war. He's going to have to agree to a ceasefire. Now, what does that look like in regards to that mineral deal? I don't know. So if he's saying, listen, if America's backing out and they're not going to support us and they're not going to guarantee any troops and all of this long lasting security, then I'm not going to agree to share any of these minerals. So be it. Whatever comes after that, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I really think he needs to do whatever's necessary to stop the warfare, to stop the bombs from flying, to stop lives from being lost. At the end of the day, when we sit back at home and we talk about war, we look at war, we see all these things on television, we are completely removed from the fact that these are lives being lost. These are someone's grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts and uncles and husbands. These are people's lives. These are people's loved ones. These are people's family members. And that needs to end. Okay. I don't want to see any more lives lost. And if we can come to the table and end that, then it just needs to happen. It just needs to happen. like they said, NATO is in agreement, as well as Pete Hegseth, that they're not going to get Crimea back. And there are going to be other parts of the Eastern Territory that Ukraine is not going to get back either. But at this moment in time, you've got to salvage what you have, and we've got to end the war. No more lives need to be lost. And if he decides that he does not want to partner with America, he can end up losing everything. Ukraine could be completely annihilated. And that does not need to happen either. So it's a very, very compromised position that Zelenskyy is in. I can completely understand his passion. I can completely understand him wanting more security from these superpowers like America and Europe. However, without America, he's not going to be able to survive this. He's not going to be able to endure this. And if he wants to be able to live another day and have a country that he can come home to and celebrate, then they're going to have to reach some sort of deal, and there's going to have to be some sort of ceasefire. Now, what does that mean in the future if Putin decides yet again to renege on that? We'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. I'm hoping that he has enough respect for Trump to where this won't happen. He did not invade Ukraine on Trump's dime. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, Trump is in bed with Putin, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if there's an agreement between the two parties to where there's no war, I'm all for it. Like, if Trump can sit at the table with Putin, and he can sit at the table with China and say, listen, let's not be trying to like kill each other. Let's figure this out. To me, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, the less lives that are lost, the better. Now, you have tons of people that feel like, we should just be blowing up everybody, but that's not the answer. War, to me, in my opinion, is always last resort. It should never go to that. It should never go to that. We are way too intelligent. We are way too advanced, articulate. We have way too many resources, all of these huge superpowers, to where we need to be trying to kill each other and annihilate each other. It's just too much. Like, it's too much, right? And there's got to be another method to ending such madness. And so I'm hoping that Trump is a great negotiator, to where he can reason with Putin, to where there will be long-lasting peace in Ukraine, and these people can live comfortably and civilly and start to rebuild without fear of retribution, or or Putin reneging on any of these peace deals. But what is your opinion? My analyzing of it may be all wrong. Maybe you feel like America needs to go in there and send troops, and we need to be stronger in regards to our stance against Russia. I want to get your opinion. I want to know how you feel about it. Do you feel like Zelenskyy is right in not apologizing? Do you feel like he's right in demanding more security measures be in place by America? So please, if you have not already, do subscribe and get in those comments, and let's continue this conversation. I love reading the comments. I love to hear your perspective. So again, thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. And until next time. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here.